Alright, what's up everyone? This is the Legendborn, and today I'm going to be bringing you another engineer build. So this build was supposed to come out a while ago, but as I was recording, I figured out that I didn't have enough room on my hard drive. So I got a new one, and I just got it, and I'm just now making this video. So sorry that this is a bit late, but here it is. So this is another engineer meta build, and the old one I had is still very much as viable as it was before, but this is the build I'm about to show you is just a different variation of it. So let's get right into it. So it's still a rifle celestial build, and the rune choice, like I said in the previous video, either strength or Holbrack. The way I see it is that strength provides more DPS and Holbrack provides more sustainability. But in this variation of the meta, damage is what you're going to be going for, so we're going to take strength over Holbrack. For sigils, they're a bit different this time. We're going to be running battle, which is I think the same as the old one, and intelligence. Like I said before, this is a damage variation of the meta, and you're going to be wanting to increase your DPS as much as possible, and sigil of intelligence, if used correctly, will do that very efficiently. Now, if you find that intelligence is a bit too hard to use in time, which some people may find that, you can go back to Doom. It works fine. So let's get into traits. We're going to be running 60044. So explosives, it's pretty much the same except for the minor trait, which used to be shrapnel, but now I take accelerant packed turrets, which when you blow it up like this, when you place it down, you get the F1 to detonate it. When you detonate it relatively close to someone with a radius of 120, I'll show you what that looks like later on, but it's pretty close, but it's good for on-point pressure and on-demand CC, which is really helpful in this build because a lot of times your opponent will dodge your high damaging attacks, and knockbacks like these will really help you pull them off. You can take shrapnel if you want, but I prefer the turret trait because of that extra CC it gives you. So we're going to be taking 2 out of alchemy. We're going to be losing protection injection. Like I said before, damage variation, sustainability doesn't really matter to us that much, so we're not taking protection injection. If you find that there's a lot of CC in the fight, or in the match, say there were like, I don't know, 3 warriors all running Hambo, you might want a protection injection, just so you can reduce DPS and bump up your survivability, but you would end up losing the major trait in this, which I really think is a bad trade-off. But again, it's up to you. If you think that's necessary, go ahead and take it. Otherwise, it's still the same, migrating speed and backpack regenerator. So now we're going to be going an extra 2 into tools, and we're keeping speedy kits the same, which you should probably always put on an engineer build, especially for PvP since movement is essential. And we're also going to be picking up power wrench. In its spot, you could take leg mods for reduced duration on movement impairing conditions, but I don't really find that useful, and it does bump your survivability, and I would much rather have this massive damage boost, as you'll see later on, than a little duration decrease on those conditions. But other than that, that would be the only other thing you could switch out. So for traits, that's basically it. We're gaining initial converter, which puts, if you have a cooldown on your tool belt bar, and then you hit 25% health, everything will be put back on cooldown. So if it's the first fight of the match, don't be conservative with your tool belt skills, because the moment you hit that 25% again, all your skills will be back up, and you won't have to worry about that 90-second cooldown. So there's a lot of good synergy with the traits, and I'll show you why as I go over the utility skills. So like always, we're going to be running healing turret, and it doesn't say here, but because of the accelerated impact turret trait, it provides a pretty nice CC, and I'll show you the range that it has. So generally you'll want to put it right on top of them to assure you get the knockback, but sometimes it won't land because you're just barely off, so here it probably won't knock him back. Yeah, but like a little bit closer probably would have knocked him back. So just be careful when you're managing your healing turret. But of course staying alive is more important than getting a CC. So if you're about to die, then just use it to survive and don't try to land the CC. Next you're running Grenade Kit because you're running Grenadier, and it's a very good source of Condi damage and physical damage, as you'll see later on in the DPS rotation that I'll show you guys. Alright, so now we move on to Toolkit. Toolkit is even better than before because everything is on a 20% cooldown, or everything's been reduced by 20%, so your block is going to come up 4 seconds faster, your pry bar is going to come up 3 seconds faster, I think, your magnet's going to come up 5 seconds faster, and all that good stuff. So overall, the toolkit was buffed, and also the damage has been buffed by 10%, I think, and your throw wrench has a cripple on it now, which as you'll see later on is very useful in the damage rotation. So now for this third utility slot, before it was Elixir Gun, but remember that this is a damage variation, and something that helps a lot with damage, or DPS, is CC lockdowns. So if you can lock down your opponent and they don't have stability or stun break or anything, you can run around them with slick shoes and they stay down for the entire duration, and you can just keep pounding them with your highest DPS moves that they'll regularly be dodging. Elixir Gun is still viable, but like I said before, you might want to switch around some traits so that you're back in that survivability mode rather than this DPS variation. Another thing is Elixir S. You could also take Elixir S, but from personal experience, I feel that it's not as effective as, say, Slick Shoes or even Elixir Gun. But if you didn't like Slick Shoes, Elixir S would be the thing to take. But just as a little note, Slick Shoes has a 25% cooldown, whereas Elixir S is an entire 60-second cooldown. But it does provide stealth, which can be useful in some situations, but I don't think it's more useful than, say, Slick Shoes with the CC lockdowns. And of course, for the elite, we'll be running Supply Crate. Alright, so now I'm going to be showing you guys the basic DPS rotation that you'll need to learn if you want to play this build. This DPS rotation generally does a good amount of your opponent's health, unless they stun break out of it or they have protection up. But you're going to want to start off with Overcharge Shot, and as you're getting up, you want to throw your wrench and fire the net shot. And as you're doing this, you can move towards them. So after you shoot your net, you want to throw your shrapnel grenades, which is your number 2 skill on your grenades. And after that, you can follow it up with anything you want. So if you want to use your pry bar, you can do that. If you want to use your other attacks, you can do that as well. So it's going to look something like this. So throw your wrench, that shot, and then shrapnel grenades. So as you see, that does basically the golem's half of its health. Something that I don't like about this rotation, and of course I didn't make up this rotation, it's just something that most people who play this build know, is that when you start off the rotation, you go into combat for the first time, your intelligence sigils will be proccing the moment you switch into a kit. And as I showed you previously, the first time you do switch into a kit is with your grenades. And that means all your shrapnel grenades will take all the intelligence sigil procs. And with all of them critting, you'll do around 2.4k damage. But if you use it with, say, pry bar or blunderbuss or overcharge shot or jump shot, it does a lot more damage than 2.4k, as you see 3.3. So if you want to make the most of the intelligence sigils, then you might want to change up the rotation. So you could do overcharge shot, the 2 regular ones, and then as you're moving up to them, you can throw your wrench out, and then you can do a jump shot or something like that, just to improve your DPS a little bit. But if you're just learning this build, I would stick with that basic DPS rotation of overcharge shot into wrench into net into shrapnel grenades. So I believe that covers everything, from the DPS rotations to the traits to the equipment. But that's a really fun build to play, and it's really effective in any type of PvP mode, whether it be ranked or just hot joins. And something I forgot to mention was that for Slick Shoes, generally you're going to be wanting to use it for on-point pressure, but if you're being chased, you can consider using it as a way to slow down your opponent, but in the end box and nails would be more effective. So just keep in mind when you have Slick Shoes up, you want to save that for on-point pressure. So thank you guys for watching. The next video I make, I'm not really sure what class that's going to be on, but it should come out somewhat soon. Not as much of a break as I had this time. I have a new hard drive, so there shouldn't be any problems there. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys real soon.